Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I call it gut check because I think we're at that point where the market could either go into free fall or it could sit here and turn. Maybe this week is the turn week and push higher for one more thrust, as I've talked about here the last couple of weeks. So let's take a look and see what's going on. So this last week, we had a pretty big move here. This is the industrials, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq 100. We had a big move to the downside here in the Dow Industrials, down 654 points. The S&P 500 was down 130, and the Nasdaq 100 was down 501. Now, we're going to drill in and take a look at the Qs this week, and then take a look at a couple of indicators, and then three of the what I call Super 8, Netflix, Nvidia, and Tesla. We're going to see what's going on with them. So, the moves that we had this last week, closing below the trading range of the last, several weeks. I mean, when you look at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks, the entire trading range. So basically the entire trading of the last 3 months is where we closed over here on the S&P 500. Now, not so much on the Nasdaq 100. It was just the last, 4 weeks in here. But pretty big range on the move down, okay? The range 582 points from high to low. If you look over here on the Nasdaq 100, 670, so not quite as many as that. Now this one on the S&P 500, 150 points when you round it, okay? That was the biggest range. Then, let's see, bigger than this, here was 155, and it's kind of interesting that we had this big wide-ranging move down on the S&P right here, and then we got a couple week bounce out of this. All right, so let's take a look at the Qs. So on Friday, the Qs were actually up 5 cents at the close. Okay, so just a little bit of a pause after this big 2-day downdraft after the Federal Reserve meeting that came out Wednesday afternoon, the announcement, the press conference. And then when you look at what happened for the week, down 1290 on the Qs. Okay, so this is the same picture we just looked at with the Nasdaq, with the NDX. All right, so now when I look at the Elliott Wave picture, this is the count on the Elliott Wave picture that we've been working for basically the last year and a half. Okay, thinking we had this big wave, intermediate wave 1 down, intermediate wave 2, and then it's, underway in intermediate wave 3 to the downside. And this is a legit wave count. We pulled back much deeper than I think anyone thought that we would. When you have retracements like this after a big move down like what we had, the typical target is in the 50 to 61.8% retracement level and a fourth wave of the prior 5-wave move down. Okay, well, that's right back up in here. Well, we kind of surpassed that in May, really. We broke above that, right in here, mid-May. So the alternate count that I'm working is this count that says, let me pull it back, that says the move down from the high in November of 21 to the low in October of 22 is a 3-wave move, an ABC for primary wave A, okay? And that what we've been doing, pulling back deep, is a 3-wave move, ABC. The C wave has become very extended, and it looks like if we push back and get to this level of retracing 90% of this move down, then this is going to be, I'm going to categorize it as a B wave. Then this is what certifies this in my mind. If we don't hit this level, we continue to break down in here, then I'm going to be staying with this move, this right here, this count right here. But we need for this count to continue to hold. We need to see this continue to subdivide lower. This should be gappy. We need to take out this mid-August low. So we're right at that point where, that's why I call it gut check. We're at that point. Is it going to continue to do this? Or are we going to get our legs underneath us reverse and start pushing higher. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on right here in this chart. So here's this 90% level that I'm keeping an eye on, okay, for retracement to validate a quote unquote B wave back up here. Okay, what am I doing with the wave count right in here? This is, I'm linking out a possible path for an ending diagonal pattern. Why ending diagonal? Because it's a series of zigzags when you have an ending diagonal, and it's classic for a wave 5. Now, with this wave count that I got right here, what do I not like about it? I don't like, let me get my marker out. See this wave 2 and this wave 4? They're way too similar. The guideline in Elliott Wave is that the retracement waves like 4 and 2 have a tendency to alternate. Now, it's not a rule. They don't have to alternate, but it's a pretty strong tendency. So if you get a pretty sharp pullback for wave 2, you start to look for a sideways for wave 4. So that's why I'm saying, could we have a triangle forming? Now, could we have a three-wave, 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 then a final move? That's a real possibility, but that goes away, in my mind, if we take out this mid-August low. Okay, so let me get my cursor back. If we take out this mid-August low, then all of a sudden, yeah, it could be some kind of expanding triangle, but I think the odds, because this just looks like a compressing, type of triangle in here, I think the odds increase that we're doing back, like I just talked about over here, that this could be going on for wave 1, 2, and coming down. Okay, so this is the picture. I think is a decent chance, could be playing out. You have to take this into consideration. I put this out here so that you can be aware of what could be going on here. Now, besides this triangle sideways type move, I want to show you. Okay, so what am I talking about with this dashed lines in here? Let me show you. This is what really gives me pause, okay? What we're experiencing right now is a pretty extreme, pretty high level of bearish put buying in equity put to call ratios. I mean, so there's a lot of put buying going on. We haven't seen this degree of put buying since right back here, okay? Mid-December to the first week of January is when we experienced a very severe level of put buying, okay? So they were wrong, because the vast majority are going to be wrong. And we're seeing it again right now, so it gives me pause. And that's why I'm pointing it out to you. Now, here's another thing just came on my radar this weekend. When looking at my ETF dashboard, and let me just pull that up real quick. Here's what the ETF dashboard looks like for this last week. Pretty negative picture, right? There are 16 sectors I have identified up in here that I monitor every week. 0 up, all 16 negative. And then, of course, we had the, all negative in the index ETFs also. When was the last time we saw 0 up and 16 down? Right here. The week ending August 18th. Okay, right here. Friday, August 18th. And interestingly enough, that was a low. Now, that's one instance. That's the last time. But I gotta tell you, it does give me pause, and it makes you start to think, we're down here very close to being, we're oversold, and we could be getting to where, we get our legs underneath us here and flip higher. We'll see. Right now, we really haven't turned at this point, but it could be this coming week. That's why I think that this week is going to be kind of critical here, the last week of September. Okay, let's take a look at another indicator. I'm going to take a look at the percent of stocks on the Nasdaq above their 50-day moving average. And here's what I want to do is right here, go to this. So I've got the moving averages on here. I've got the 10 exponential and I've got the 21 simple. These are the two short-term ones that I like to look at. So we're down here at 23.6% of the stocks on the Nasdaq are above their 50-day moving average. Well, we're back down the territory where we seem to get some support back in March. Now, if you go back further, go back to the fall of a year ago, yeah, we start to do it, but a little bit lower ranges, 15 to 20% down in here. But we're at that point where we could be getting ready to turn. Now, we are getting some divergence showing up on the indicators, but we haven't flipped the moving averages to the upside just yet. So this is going to be really interesting to watch. And of course, each one of these on the S&P 500 and then on the New York Stock Exchange, they all have a slightly different picture, but we watch this and we watch the 200-day also. So this is interesting. We'll see if we start to get some support flipping in. All right, let's take a look at Netflix, Nvidia, and Tesla. Okay, here's the daily view on Netflix, and this is for about the last year. Okay, so right now, where is Netflix sitting? It's come back down into an area that looks like potential support. We'll see. You can see, the highs that occurred back in February, right here, and then a short-term high that occurred in May, and it, of course, burst through that level. Is that going to become support now? And we'll see. But right now we've pulled back into it. Netflix has been down for what, 2, 4, 6, 7 out of the last 8 days, it looks like. Pretty good downdraft. Let's take a look at Nvidia. Now this big dash line, that was the prior high on Nvidia, okay, that it burst through in a huge gap to the upside. And now Nvidia's pulled back. And we're rapidly approaching this level right here, the 402, because the actual support, the low here was 401, this was 403, so I put the dash line halfway in between. So we're not quite there. The low on Thursday was 409.80. So we'll see if we continue to come down into this area or not, but I'd say that is a potential support to keep an eye on. If it doesn't hold in here, I think it's going to come back down and start to fill this gap. We'll see. Okay. And then, of course, Tesla. So when I look at Netflix, we're oversold. Okay. Nvidia, we're oversold. Tesla, a little more neutral. Okay. A little more neutral. And, we're at this point where we had some pretty, potential little support in here. We closed 245.01 the next day on September 5th. We opened at 245 even. On the 7th, we opened 245.07. We closed on Friday 244.88. So we're like right there. So I think this is a pretty key level. This needs to hold, or we need to turn on Monday, Tuesday, or this is going to start to break down and go after this low, the mid-August low. We'll see. Okay, so that is the picture we've got. Somewhat neutral, not nearly as oversold as it got in mid-August. We'll see what happens this coming week. Okay, that's it for this video. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net. Check out the website, check out the membership. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.